Keeping up to date with the latest developments in different parts of Johannesburg in the aftermath of this fire. A day later, still many questions to be asked, and we're looking for answers and clarity. But there's some support that is happening. A number of shelters have been set up, and in the Bears Valley suburb of Johannesburg, we find Aviwe Mtila at one of those shelters. We were connected with you earlier, Aviwe. We lost that connection. I'm pleased to say that we've got you back. You were still interviewing the MEC for Social Development in the province of Gauteng.
Yes, but I'm wanting to find out if there are any preventative measures that we can see going forward. As much as the Minister of Social Development said that they can't be to blame, but what can be done going forward? We do understand there's still dozens of these buildings around Johannesburg, and just the health hazard we are told is inside. Those shacks inside these buildings can potentially flame up other buildings. What can be done? Let's find out from the MEC of Social Development, Mbali Shwapa. MEC, I think maybe let's pick up from that question on any preventative measures we can expect going forward.
As you know, that yesterday, part of the things that our MEC for Human Settlements was indicating is that we're having a meeting that takes place, interdepartmental, so it's both where local, provincial and national, some of the departments were working together to make sure that we deal with the issues around your hijacked building, because that's the biggest problem that we're facing, particularly in the CBD, and how we deal amongst those. And you know, part of the problems whenever government has wanted to intervene was that there would be NPOs that would stop those processes by going to the Human Rights Commission and blocking any form of intervention. So it's just an engagement that needs to take place, and understanding the balancing out of the human needs in terms of shelter, but also dealing with the criminality that is accompanied by the hijacking of these buildings. But as the MEC Maile had indicators that there are those particular where their section is coming in, is to focus on these hijacked buildings and how we're able to deal with them moving forward. So next week there was an indication that by next week there will be that press briefing that will take place, where they'll be able to give more pronounced conclusions as it pertains to these and what becomes the way forward.
All right, those engagements, but then still to happen. By next week, we are promised a press briefing that could potentially deal with the scourge of hijacked buildings in Johannesburg. I just want to bring in now the SA Jewish Board of Directors, one of those that have come forth, Bradan, and offered a helping hand. Wendy, thank you for joining us at eNCA. Just maybe tell us your experience and who you're helping, how you're helping in this tragedy.
Yeah, I think we, like all South Africans, are just devastated by what we've seen. I think like most faith organizations, we just want to find a way that we can assist. We have been conducting a needs analysis today just to see exactly what is required, and we've arrived here with blankets, with sanitary pads, with nappies. We found out the size nappies that were required, and now having been here and seeing these little children running around, we're just on our way to go and get some toys and balls. This is a terrible place for people to live, people who have just experienced the kind of trauma that they have experienced. Many of them have loved ones who are still in the hospital, and if there's anything that we can do, we are here, and that's the beauty of South Africans. South Africans dig deep into their hearts whenever there are people suffering around us. We just want to find a way to make it a little bit better.
And this tragedy, you know, in speaking to various people, for example, Robert Mlaudzi from EMS saying that in his 23 years career, he's never seen anything like this. I also, in my journalism career, has never seen such tragedy. Maybe take us from your own personal experience. How is it dealing with such?
Yeah, over many, many years we've been involved in these traumatic kind of crises, and to see people really at the bottom, the bottom of their lives, at their worst possible time, it's a privilege to be able to come and just try and bring some kind of assistance and alleviate some of the suffering. But long term, I can't imagine what these people are going through, and our prayers, and I know it doesn't really help, but our prayers are here. But more importantly, we are here as a Jewish community to offer whatever is required. And the beauty is that there are so many NGOs like ours, and I've just looked around today. There are so many organizations that are here and that are just willing to assist in whatever way we possibly can. We don't want to get involved in the politics. We are not here to ask those questions. We are just here to try and improve the situation that little bit.
And so grateful, I'm sure these people are. Wendy, thank you so much for all the assistance, and many other NPOs and NGOs that are really coming to the fore and assist us. NGOs such as the Gift of the Givers that have come out, just offering however little help or however big help that they can in this desperate times. But then sad news, of course, coming in even from the High Commission of Tanzania, believing that 5 of their countrymen have perished in that fire that claimed at least 74 people. Now, it's just tallying up all these numbers. I was also in conversation with the Malawian High Commission, who said that they'd only be able to give an official interview after they have the solid numbers. At this stage, it's speculation. Yesterday, I was speaking to the Malawian Society, who said that they've taken down at least 20 people who lost their lives, but we'll get something conclusive from the High Commission itself once they've been able to do the rounds, even in various hospitals. And of course, the challenge now is conducting that DNA, which we do know that only 12 of the 74 people that have perished have been identified. It's still going to be a mammoth task for these families that have been asked to come forward so that those DNA samples can be done, and these families get that closure in knowing if indeed they've lost their loved ones or they miss.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard task indeed, especially if you don't have a direct brother or sister or sibling who shares the same DNA. It's going to be a very hard one. Thank you very much, Aviwe Mtila, talking to us live from one of the shelters. This one is in the Bears Valley suburb of Johannesburg. That's been set up to accommodate, I think it's more than 400 people who were left homeless yesterday after that fire gutted that 5-story building downtown Johannesburg, corner of Delvers and Albert Street. And by the way, in case you have forgotten, that building belongs to the city of Johannesburg, which claims they had rented it out or leased it out to an NGO.